And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and this is our MLR Rugby411 SuperBru Pick'ems for the Western and Eastern Elimination games. That's what they're being called. I would call them just playoff games, but we are in the playoff season, and as oddly as things have kind of turned out, it is what it is. I kind of made a little spiel at the beginning of my power rankings video. I'll kind of reiterate what I said here. I don't want to go too into details. I've never wanted this YouTube channel to deal with anything about rumors and hearsay. I've always wanted, if I were to report anything or say anything about anything, it would usually always be relied on in facts, because that's kind of how news should always be reported. So because we don't know 100% of what happened with the Austin Gilgronis and the LA Guiltinis and their elimination from the playoffs, even as much as it hurts me as an LA fan, it is what it is, and until things are further revealed, I can't say anything that I feel would be appropriate or accurate, even as a rugby fan. As that being said, as a rugby fan, I still support the game. As much as, again, it hurts me as an LA season ticket holder. I still love the game of rugby, and I still fully want to see it thrive in the United States. So, with that being said, these are the playoff games that we have. 2 games going on. Saturday, June 11th, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have the Eastern Eliminator game. Rugby New York goes over to the Silverback Stadium to play against Rugby ATL. As I mentioned in my Power Rankings video, right now, momentum seems to be in Rugby New York's favor. They just beat the number 1 team in the league, New England, in a very, very defensive-minded game. Rugby ATL, granted, dominated against NOLA goal, but I feel if you look at that, there's a lot of momentum and confidence in New York. Now, granted, as the season has been, these two teams have played each other twice. They both have won a game back in week 3. Rugby New York won a close game, 36-31 over Atlanta in Atlanta. But the most recent game, week 16, so a couple weeks ago, Rugby ATL dominated Rugby New York in New York, 38-3. So, again, I feel New York has a lot of momentum, but that game should be haunting New York. Maybe it'll give Rooney a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Maybe it'll just kind of remind them how dangerous a team like ATL are. This is a rematch from last year's semifinal Eastern Conference game where Atlanta beat Rugby New York. And again, another very close game, 10-9. And a very similar defensive-minded game as the one that Rooney just played against New England. That sent Atlanta to the championship. That gave Atlanta the Eastern Conference title. So 2 teams that know each other quite well. Again, both of these games are going to be kind of hard to predict. As much as I feel Rooney has more of the momentum, Atlanta, again, looks like a pretty dangerous team, and the home field advantage does make a difference. Granted, New York did beat Atlanta at home. I am going to actually go with Atlanta in this game. As much as it looks like New York might have the advantage, I think Atlanta will win this one. Now, another very hard game to predict. Sunday, June 12th, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so a late game for you East Coast fans. The San Diego Legion surprisingly get themselves into the playoffs, going against a very hot Seattle Seawolves team who just beat both Houston and LA on their way to making the playoffs. This game is in Starlight Stadium. It's a rematch of the 2019 championship. These two teams have a lot of history with each other. Back in 2019, Seattle beat San Diego 26-23 to lay claim to their second MLR title in a row. These two teams have faced against each other twice in this season already, and both games have been won by Seattle. Seattle won 31-28, very close game in San Diego back in week 3, and then week 11, Seattle beats Seattle beat San Diego again, another close game, 34-32 in Seattle. Very close games. Statistically, it's very hard for a team to beat a team in any sport, in football and rugby and those really sports where you don't play a lot, not like with basketball or with hockey where you play all the time, but like a game like football where you only play a team once or twice. It's very, very hard to beat a team twice in a season, let alone 3 times. But with that being said, Seattle looks really, really good. If there's a team that has a lot of momentum going into these playoffs, it's Seattle. Like I said, coming off of wins over Houston, coming off over a big win against LA. San Diego, unfortunately, has been sitting at home with the bye, and there's a question of whether or not their players are ready for a game because for at least a couple of days, almost a week, they thought that they were done, that they were going to go home, especially a lot of their international players, probably booking flights back home. Some of the players locally were probably booking vacations. So now they got to get ready to play a very tough Seattle team in Seattle. I gotta say, I gotta go with Seattle on this one. I mean, it's gonna, again, statistically, it's very hard for a team to beat a team 3 times in a season, but I really feel Seattle is the dangerous team right now in the West. So I feel Seattle has the win on this one. This one, a little bit more of a toss-up. As much as this might be a toss-up to some people, I really have a feeling that Seattle is going to walk away. Plus, again, Starfire Stadium is a tough stadium to play in. It's very loud. They really believe in that 16th man on the pitch. I feel, again, Seattle has a lot of things going for them, and I feel they will book themselves a ticket into that Western Conference Finals against the Houston SaberCats. I feel ATL might try to grab another Eastern Conference title and book their title shot against the New England Free Jacks. So those are our 2 picks. Now, I just checked SuperBru, so those people are still part of the SuperBru. Remember, the contest is still going on. The 2 games that are up there right now, the Eastern Conference is correct. The Western Conference, because of everything that's been going on with LA and with Austin, it's still not showing the correct game. They're probably going to change it pretty soon. I know there's some talk about maybe an overturning of the rules. I don't feel that's going to happen. So I feel this game is going to be what's going to be playing on the weekend. So just make sure you keep watch because this game will change and you'll have to make this pick. So don't skip on that because, again, we are still playing in our SuperBru Pick'em. All right, and speaking of our SuperBru Pick'em, let's look at the results for last week. And Brandon B-Dog82, look at you sliding into first for the Golden Caps, 6.5 points. Congratulations, brother. Beating me out by 0.5. Oh, so close for the last week of the season of footy balls. Look at you, 5.5. Just beating out your internal rival, USA Rugby Union and League Fan, who had 5 points. Everybody had a great week this one. Excatcha also got 5.5, and then Harry and Frisco Flame both ended with 5 points. Looking now at the overall results, all J Long still sitting at top, 113.25. I feel that's probably, unless, the playoffs and the championship game are games that all J Long completely gets wrong, I feel he's going to be sitting there at the end of the season. Excatcha is still in second at 100.50. Harry's at 100.58. I'm sorry, Excatcha is at 102.50. Harry's just behind them, 100.58. I'm in fourth with 99.33, and Frisco's right behind me at 95.33. And now, a little fun fact about All J Long. I just found out All J Long is gracing us with greatness. Not only is he number 1 in our league, he is actually the number 1 player in the whole world. There is competition for the MLR pick'em that is competing with every person that's playing all over the world. All J Long is at the number 1 spot. So, guys, you guys who are competing in our pool we're so far behind from All J Long, the world is behind All J Long. He's not only the number 1 in the world, he's also number 1 in the United States because he's American. But my God, impressive, brother. I bow down to you. Not to brag, I was number 1 in the United States last year with MLR. I think I ended at number 5 in the world, but man, you are number 1 in the world. That's impressive, brother. So hopefully, I'm actually kind of rooting for you to finish at number 1. Because, hey, if we're to lose to anybody, you might as well lose to the number 1 person in the world. So, good job, all day long. Again, it's the competition isn't over. We still have the playoffs. We still have the championship game. Even though it's 2 games to pick this week, it's going to be 2 games to pick next week. You still got to pick these games. So there's still a lot to play for. And again, these 2 games themselves are pretty hard ones to pick. I mean, the Atlanta and the New York one I feel is more of a toss-up. I really do feel strong about Seattle. But, yeah, it's going to be tough. So don't forget, guys, you still got to put your picks in. Don't forget, check, because this might change, or it should change. It's not accurate on SuperBru yet, so if you made a pick, don't think you're done, because you're going to have to rechange it when they switch back to San Diego at Seattle. But make sure you get those picks right. So, but yeah, this video is going to be short this week. This is it. Again, thank you guys for being part of the SuperBru Pick'em Pool. Don't forget, you need to still keep playing. And good luck all day long. Hopefully you end up number 1 in the world at the end of the entire thing. So, as always, thank you very much for watching my videos, and I'll see you guys on the pitch.